Did the Anunnaki create us? Did they create humans, like from scratch? Are they the ones that we ought to acknowledge as our creators? And were they gods? Were they beings? What were they? And what does God have to do with this? What about Genesis? What about the Garden of Eden? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode of The Real God Is Not in the Bible. I'm Reverend Valerie Love. Welcome. This is Witchy Wednesday. I'm here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to have a discussion about the true origins of humanity and what we may not have been told about ancient civilizations, what we may not have been told about ancient civilizations. Now, normally, you know how we do. Come on in. Normally, I go on screen share and I share several things with you, several facts with you about my findings. This is going to be a conversation. This is going to be a tete-a-tete, as they would say, a conflab. This is going to be a conversation you and I are going to have about our origins, about how it relates to the Anunnaki. And since I've been doing this show, The Real God Is Not in the Bible, and I've been writing the book, there are many, many, many really good questions you all have been asking in the comments. Really good questions. And in this episode, I'm going to take on answering those questions. And one of the biggest recurring questions that comes up is, did the Anunnaki create us? So even my son and I were having this conversation the other day, and he was not really happy thinking about the idea that we were created to be slaves, right? Like slave species of the gods. Yet, and I can certainly understand that. And he and I always have these really powerful conversations, right? These powerful conversations. So let's talk about that. So, first, I want to frame this conversation. Many people do not believe in the Anunnaki. And that's okay because I didn't believe in the Anunnaki for the longest. I thought it was a crazy conspiracy theory for years. Anytime someone in our community would talk about the Anunnaki, I would be like, okay. And I would just think to myself, what a crazy conspiracy theory. That's what I used to think until, until I did a deeper dive in the Bible. I came to the Anunnaki through the portal of the Bible. I didn't come to the Anunnaki because people were walking around, wandering around, talking about the Anunnaki. Hi, family, come on in, come on in. I was able to clearly see the Anunnaki from the Bible. So I'll tell you what that means in a moment. We'll talk more about that. So I don't believe things, I seek evidence. And I would offer that everyone do that. That if you want to, yes, come on in, that if you want to truly understand something and you want to understand the truth about something, how about search for evidence? And how about make a search without something already in your mind that you're trying to prove to be true? See, when I saw the Anunnaki in the Bible, I wasn't still a fundamentalist Christian. I didn't need the Bible to say this thing or that thing. There are many fundamentalist Christians that need the Bible to say a specific thing. They need to prove that the Bible is about a certain thing. I did not have that. Therefore, because I did not have that filter anymore, I don't need the Bible to be true, not true. I don't need the Bible to be from God. I don't need any of that. I just want to know what happened. So when I began to read the Bible and I began to understand the Bible, more and more, I saw that the Bible was unraveling these ancient mysteries. The Bible. Now, I'm not one of these holy roller Christians that tell you, read the Bible because it's from God, the Bible, the Bible, the Bible. That's not me. No. Hey, Queefy, how you loving? How you loving? Love that. So, no, I did not have to have the Bible prop up my beliefs. That's what most people do. Most people pick up the Bible and they look at all the evidence concerning the Bible And if it doesn't prop up their preconceived beliefs, the beliefs that they brought with them in their head, then they discard it because it doesn't agree with what's in their head. And it's very painful to strip away what's in your head. It's very painful to let go of the things that we have been taught. It's very painful to find out we've been lied to on multiple counts, multiple counts, multiple counts. They're still lying. They're still propagating stories that are not true. The mainstream is still propagating stories that are not true, and we can prove that they are not true. Yeah, that's what they teach in the books, in the school books. That's what they got everybody thinking about. Do you understand that there are principles of Pythagoras that are embedded in ancient monuments that were built 2,000 years before Pythagoras? Yet, what are they teaching in schools? Pythagoras, the father, he discovered all, he brought all this to us. Pythagoras, Pythagoras, Pythagoras. That's not true. These things existed thousands of years ago before Pythagoras. Yet in Western civilization, we love the Greeks and Romans. In Western civilization, you will not be able to hear one single speech, podcast episode of anyone who was educated in the West for 15 minutes without them saying something about the Greeks. Because Pythagoras said, because Aristotle said, because Socrates, because Greek, they go straight back to the Greeks every time. Where the Greeks told you that they got their wisdom from Egypt. So do understand that we're in a very skewed system in the West. The West also tell you nothing about Africa. They just skip the whole thing, except Egypt. They just like that little tip of Africa. The rest of it, we're not even going to talk about it. We're not even going to look at it. We're not even going to try to figure out what was going on down there. They're not talking anything about China or the East. Not talking about it. They're not talking about Mesoamerica. They're not talking about South America and all of the wonderful discoveries in Peru. They just discovered this incredible queen in Peru who was reigning thousands of years ago, and they couldn't believe it because they thought only men ruled. That was maybe in your part of the world. That wasn't the world. So you can understand that those who have been trained in Western civilization have many blind spots. They've been hypnotized to the Greeks, the smartest, greatest people that have ever walked the planet. You just hear them parroting Greek. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're going to say something about the Greek. Because in Greece, because ancient Greeks, because everything goes back to the Greeks for people who were trained in Western civilization. I didn't get trained like that. I am a global scholar. I'm not focused on Greece. My mind was free to discover Mexico. Did you all know? Did you know? Hey, money in the podcast! Hallelujah, hallelujah. Mwah. Thank you, the spiritual savage. I love that name. The spiritual savage, thank you so much. Super chat, thank you for all the gems you be dropping. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Billionfold return to you. Do we understand, family, that right in Mexico, next door to the United States, there is a whole ancient city, many ancient cities. I've been to several ancient cities in Mexico, with pyramids that are built exactly on par with the pyramids of Egypt. Did you know about that? They'll never teach you that in school. They'll never teach you anything in school about Teotihuacan unless you are in that specific strand of studies. But everybody's got to know about the Greeks and the Romans. The Romans, they invented indoor plumbing. No, they didn't. The Romans invented roads. No, they didn't. So understand that these scholars, whom I love and I very much appreciate scholars. They have many blind spots that keep them from looking at the totality of the picture. The next thing I want to say is this. Whenever you hear ancient scholars talking about the Anunnaki, they always speak as if these are gods. Oh, yeah, there were gods, and which automatically makes them fictional. It automatically makes them invisible beings we don't know anything about, deities. They weren't gods. That's the conclusion I came to from reading what they themselves wrote about themselves. They wrote their own stories. The Atrahasis epic, of the Epic of Gilgamesh, oh my goodness, is list of them. There's a bunch of them in my book that I tell you to read. They themselves wrote about their antics. They were called the Anuna gods. They were called the Anunnaki. The Bible calls them the Elohim. These beings who were overseeing Earth on a global scale and who built megalithic structures while they were here. Now, that is a crazy statement to make according to mainstream people, because we don't think humans could have built these megalithic structures. Well, let me ask you this question, because you hear a lot of people saying, to think that aliens built these megalithic structures takes away from the ingenuity of humans. Humans could have built these. So let's go into that. Let's go into that. They just discovered that the center stone at Stonehenge, now you know there's an African Stonehenge. I was the one to tell you about that. They'll never teach you about an African Stonehenge, not in any university in the West, nor will they teach it to you in church. Nor will they teach you about Adam's calendar in Southern Africa. Pardon me. The altar stone at Stonehenge came from the north of Scotland. Think about that for a minute. Somehow, these Neolithic people, farmers with scoops, somehow they bought a multi-ton, a 25-ton stone. The altar stone at Stonehenge is something like 25 tons. Somehow, they transported this before the wheel was invented. We didn't have the wheel. Somehow, they transported a 25-ton megalithic stone from hundreds of kilometers away over dense forests, bogs, or maybe they came down the waterways, but they still had to carry it over dense forest. That's what they're telling us. That people did it. Neolithic people did it. But at the same time, they're telling us that Neolithic people were hunters and gatherers and little farming people and whatnot. But these people arranged to carry a 25-ton stone from unimaginable distance over rocks, forests, bogs, no path. And they want us to believe that. That's what they want us to believe. No, that doesn't add up. I will tell you what does add up. What does add up is there was some kind of advanced civilization on this planet who did extremely advanced things, and we might be a dumbed down version of them, because we cannot even match or replicate or figure out how they did it and why they did it. We don't know why they put Stonehenge together. They're guessing. Maybe it was for this. Maybe it was for that. They don't know what the tombs were for. They're not tombs. The 3 pyramids of Egypt, Khafre, and the Khufu pyramid, and Menkaure. These 3 pyramids in Egypt, I've been to them, been up inside them. I've been there, got pictures, because I wanted to see with my own peepers. I had to see it for myself. Let me go see. Well, damn, these look like the pyramids I just saw in Mexico. This is a global civilization moving megalithic stones all over in India, China, at Machu Picchu, in Peru, in Mexico, in the Americas, in Scotland, Europe, what is now Europe and Scotland, Egypt, of course, Mesopotamia. They were doing this all over the world. But supposedly, no one could communicate globally. Supposedly, we just found out how to communicate globally. Supposedly. Well, how did they have a global civilization if they couldn't communicate globally? When are we going to say, well, we don't have the story figured out yet, so let's look at all the possibilities on the table. See, it would be one thing if science already had it figured out in a nice, neat little package that made sense, that matched the evidence. What they're telling us does not match the evidence. They're telling us a story. We look at the evidence, they don't match. I'll give you three more. What do these megalithic stones around the world have in common? One, geometric precision. But supposedly thousands of years ago, these people didn't have a compass. They didn't have they didn't have modern tools to be able to cut right angles precisely. I mean, the geometry is next level, but we didn't find out about geometry until later. How are all over the world geometrically precise? Right angles cut precisely, symbols cut precisely into granite and super hard stones. Super precise. What is that about? Geometric precision. Here's the second thing: alignment with astrological correspondences. All of them, all of these megalithic structures around the world are astronomically aligned. From Stonehenge, where we go in the fall equinox, and the spring equinox, it's perfectly aligned when the sun comes, to Chichen Itza in Mexico, spring equinox, the serpent of shadow and light descends the pyramid. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've taken video of it. To Egypt, to Mesopotamia, to China, to all over the world. Adam's calendar in Africa, the south of Africa, they are all astronomically aligned with precision, but supposedly nobody had a telescope. Supposedly, no one knew about these certain stars. How did it happen? How did it happen? The people did it? What you're telling us that the people didn't know anything about astrology or astronomy. You're telling us that the people didn't have telescopes yet. You're telling us that the people did not understand the distance between this star, that star, and the other star, that we just found those things out with the Hubble telescope and these other things. Yet, what we're looking at in the evidence is absolute astronomical alignment. See, the stories don't match. Stories don't match. Stories don't add up. Hey, peeps. My grandkids are with me for the summer. They don't match. Oh, yes, the pyramids are aligned to the stars and planets. Absolutely. Right, Nubian King? Yes. And I'll tell you something really interesting. How is it that the pyramid is the only structure on planet Earth that is absolutely aligned with due north, where the North Pole is? It's precise. And why is it also the alignment? I showed it to you all one time. The alignment of the pyramid in Egypt coming down to Adam's calendar all the way in the south, they're in a straight line. What? So these people were traveling from this place to this place, and it was like drawn a straight line. How, wait a minute. How did that happen? The woo, but in more time. Smash up the likes. Thank you. Give me some love. Give me some love, family. Give me some love. Give me some love. Thank you. Smash that like button, baby, and subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And make sure to share. Okay. So that we can get this out to everyone because we've been lied to. And they expect that we're just going to believe anything they tell us. You go into these schools and they tell you, yeah, these three pyramids are tombs of the pharaohs. Never found one tomb inside of any of the pyramids of Egypt. How are they tombs? Never found one tomb in any of them. No hieroglyphics in any of them. The pyramid was a giant, could be a giant energy, was related to energy. And clearly, the beings who created these things all around the world were able to use sound to levitate. And you can see that in so many books. I have read so many books about this, and I put the list of books together for you. I'm going to drop a list of some of these books because the books will just have your head explode. It explodes your head. Let me give you the link. The Real God is Not in the Bible. A list of books to read, resources that will have your head explode about these unexplained mysteries around the planet. These mysteries are not just in one place. Okay, if they were just in Africa, Egypt, because it's a local phenomenon. No, it's in Egypt, then it's in Zimbabwe, then it's in South Africa, then it's in India, then it's in China, then it's at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, then it's in Mesopotamia, which is modern day Iraq, then it's in Mexico, then it's in North America, then it's in Peru, then it's, wait a minute. Pee on our heads and tell us it's raining. This ain't no Diddy party. It's not. This is not a Diddy party. No, we are not going to be bamboozled today. We're not going to be peed on today. This is not a Diddy party. No. So I just mentioned, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what I have discovered in my own independent research and study of the Anunnaki, and the Bible was my means to find the information. The Bible. Because the Bible has spaceships in it. The Bible has giants in it, which we know. The Bible. And it's encoded in the Garden of Eden. I love that. I love that. That is so beautiful. Yay. Give me 5 memberships, Tasha. You are freaking fantastic. I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And family, you can get the ebook copy of this book. I'm still writing it. The paperback and the hardcover are coming out in this year, in 2025. The ebook is now available to all my beautiful members as a gift. Okay, now let's go further. So, people don't want to believe in the Anunnaki, and I understand that because it's very controversial. It's very, they want to put it in the category of conspiracy theory. Yet it is not for me any longer. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just what happened. And I've got to say, it was not only the ancient megastructures on the planet, of which I've seen many with my own eyes and said, oh, this is not what they told us it is. I've been to Stonehenge. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Peru. I've been to Mexico. I've been to a lot of these ancient cities. I saw it for my eyes, myself, and I would offer that, go and see for yourself. So it's not just the megalithic structures globally that had me questioning the narrative. The next thing that had me question narrative was biology. Have you noticed something? Oh, thank you so much. Tasha, thank you so much for throwing out all these memberships so you can enjoy it. Anyone who grabbed one of those memberships, you enjoy it. Enjoy it. Yay. I want to ask you this question. Look at our biology. Our biology is not suited to this planet. Why? First, this is a water planet and we're not water beings. That should be the first clue. Do we naturally belong here? Just questions. This is a water planet. We can't live in water. What's that about? So if you're a bird, you're well suited here. And if you're, in the ocean, in the water, you're well suited here. Everything else, it's a ticking time bomb how long you're going to be on this planet. Because 99% of all the species that have ever lived on this planet have gone extinct. Think about that. 99%. The dinosaurs ain't here anymore. And the dinosaurs were here for 250 million years, according to what they told us. They're extinct. Anything that cannot live in water or fly above in the air until the water goes back to where it was, it's a ticking time bomb, because the only thing that keep going that's on land other than the sea creatures and the air creatures are roaches. Said they've been around for millions of years. You can't get rid of roaches because they can hide somewhere in some cracks and crevices and come out later. They need very little water and very little food. Roaches can, nothing on land. Think about that. Think about that. Ask scientists. 99% of all species that have ever lived on this planet have gone extinct. Next, ask yourself this. Why are we the only beings on this planet that are walking upright on 2 feet? It's bad for your anatomy. It's bad for your lower back. We're the only one with varicose veins. We're the only one with back issues. We're the only one with knee issues. Got to get your knee replacements, your hip replacements. Why are we, look around, look around. I just observe things and I ask questions. Why are we the only ones? We're the only bipedal beings, and supposedly our ancestors, all the apes, all the monkeys, all of them, they can stand, and then mostly they're on fours. We're the only ones that don't get on fours unless we just want to get down and look under the couch or something. We're walking upright, and supposedly that's an advantage, but it's not, because the biology with the gravity of this planet, you're not supposed to be walking upright. Swollen feet. Why do we have all these issues? Tigers don't have that. Lions don't have that. Right? That's exactly right. We were seated here. We were a interesting amalgamation that's not perfectly suited to this planet. Let's go further. We had an adjustment in our code, in our genetic code, that happened about 250,000, 300,000 years ago. There's some strange adjustment that was made in our genetic code that gave us the ability to speak, tell stories, religion, higher concepts, all of these things made us super intelligent. They call it, the scientists call it the Great Leap. Where did that come from? Now, you ask the scientists, well, what caused the Great Leap? We don't know. So they make up a story. Oh, we started agriculture. And because we started agriculture, we could start speaking. And then you see them in school making up the story. Oh, it's agriculture. Agriculture was the whole thing. We started planting. Well, how did we start planting? And somebody accidentally found out that you could plant something. Like the stories they tell you in the mainstream, and we believe them. We started agriculture, and supposedly agriculture made all of this happen. Next thing you know, we started telling stories. We started sitting around. But what made us start telling those stories is what I want to find out. None of those stories make sense except for the Anunnaki story. That's the only story that I have found that fits all the puzzle pieces together. It fits all the puzzle pieces. So let's get down to now. Did the Anunnaki create us? And what about God? Right? The Anunnaki did not create us. The Anunnaki engineered us. Create means you make something from nothing. That's not what they did. That's not what they did. If you are growing roses and you have this strand of roses and you have this strand of roses and you breed the roses and you create this new strand of rose that came from these two roses, did you create something or did you engineer it? You engineered it. You didn't create it. You didn't create it. They didn't create us like out of nothing. Just make a human. That's not how it worked. Now, before we can go any deeper, here's what hooks people up in their thoughts of the Anunnaki that makes them very sad. Let me tell you what makes them very sad and very upset. We still think of God in a very elementary way that we think God was making a dove. Here you go, dove, fly. Okay, now I think I'm going to make a giraffe with a long neck. Okay, I'll put you on the ground. Okay, I'm going to make a bunny, put a fluffy tail. Okay, I'm going to make an elephant, big ears. They think God is sitting around making little things. No, no. God, the infinite source, does not make different things. The infinite source created the code by which all these things exist. Please understand the infinite source where everything came from, everything came from the infinite source, created the code for this entire universe. This entire universe is a code. So there had to be a coder. All the scientists tell us, yeah, our DNA is a code. Well, then if it's a code, who wrote the code? Someone coded it. You don't have a computer and say, oh, I can do Facebook. Facebook just jumped out of nowhere. Big Bang. Big Bang is a ridiculous story. They made it up. And they teach it in school like it's law. There was a Big Bang. But the Hubble telescope out there, all those telescopes that went way farther than we thought they could go and keep going and look at it, they were like, oh, maybe we weren't correct with the Big Bang. Maybe it didn't happen like that. They are making these things up and flying by the seat of their pants and teaching it like it's law. And then when you look at the evidence, you say, this doesn't add up. Let's go further. So because you see, science and academia, they're together. Why? And religion. Why are they together? Because religion helps us keep a dumbed down version of God. In church, we're just sitting there, oh, praise God. He's up there in heaven making things. He took dirt and he made a woman and he made a man. I think I'll put a penis on this one and a vagina on this one. There you go. But don't touch that tree. I mean, this is a metaphor story. And it comes from ancient Mesopotamia. And it is based on a seed of truth that actually occurred in ancient Mesopotamia when the Anunnaki were doing all the tinkering that they were doing with things that were already here. So because we have the dumbed down version of God, that helps feed into the foolishness they give us in school. Traditional education in school. Traditional education is trash. And the reason I say it's trash is because it won't tell you things like, we don't really know, yet here are some possibilities. It could be this, it could be that. No, they try to convince you that this is what it is, even though it is not so and is not evidentiary. Okay, let's go further. So people have a dumbed down idea of God. So they think that they want to believe that God formed a man and formed a woman with its own hands. That's not how this universe works. It doesn't. That's what they want to believe. So if they realize that the Anunnaki came and that they had something to do with the manifestation of Homo sapiens sapien, which is us, they think they transfer their infantile belief in God to the Anunnaki, and they think the Anunnaki picked up some dirt and crunched it together and made mud pies and somehow, poof, make a human. That's not scientific. That's not how it works. We are talking about scientifically advanced beings that we could not even fathom with a global civilization. We are finding these things all over the globe. This was a global civilization. Okay, let's go further. Well, then what did they do when they got here? When they came here, they saw an existing hominid that was kind of, upright and getting down on their knees and walking. When I say getting down on their knees, I mean back and forth between four legs and sometimes walking upright a little bit. Like a monkey can stand upright and look around, and then it goes back to walking how it was walking. They saw that and they said, hey, they're in the Apsu. The Apsu is Africa, deep in Africa. Enki said, yeah, we have that being in Africa. We can round up some of them. But they won't do what we say because they're not intelligent enough. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to mix some of our DNA with their DNA. Why is that so hard to fathom when we do it right now? We make designer babies right now. Why is that so hard to fathom? Gene splicing. We do it. But we want to think we're the smartest ones that ever walked the planet. Clearly, we're not the smartest ones that ever walked the planet, that there were beings way smarter than us a long time ago because we can't even figure out what the hell they did. We're looking at these old stones and we're like, how did they do this? Maybe they did this, maybe they did that, but no one has a conclusive answer. That's evidentiary. Okay, let's go further. So they said, hey, how about we do some gene splicing? How about we capture some of these beings? They put them in cages. It's in the books. Read the books. I gave you the list of all the books. They put them in cages and they started doing their experiments. It was experimental. They had a laboratory. It's just like Wakanda. Remember Zuri in Wakanda? How super, super, super smart she was. She could make the whole suit. Yeah. What was that? What was that material that they had in Wakanda that everybody wanted? It was a super incredible material that everybody wanted. What was the name of that material that they had in Wakanda? It was past titanium and all of that. Okay. Yeah, Planet of the Apes says a lot. Okay, so what did they do? They said, okay, let's capture these beings, rounded up a bunch of them, and let's start doing the genetic. Let's start mating and seeing how we could do it. Okay. So they get, vibranium. Okay, good, good, good. Vibranium. That was it. Thank you. I knew y'all would know, family. The vibranium. Okay. So they got some of these beings that were already here. And what did they do? They started crossing it with their own DNA. They said, hey, let's cross it with our own DNA. When they cross it with our own DNA, first they had surrogate mothers to carry them. They had surrogate mothers, and when it came to 9 months and the babies were born, some of them were defective. They outlined everything that they were doing. Some couldn't hold back their urine. Some things were backwards, like their leg was back. It sounded like genetic experiments that you conduct, and you're getting variable results. It was a science experiment. And then finally, they hit on the right. They kept perfecting and tinkering, and they hit on the right combination. And the surrogate mothers were giving birth. But the surrogate mothers were Anunnaki, and finally they gave birth to one that was called the, well, there's a lot of names that people call him. Some call him Adam, the Adam. He's known by many names. Sort of like the first man, kind of like finally this thing grew up and okay, it works. It can speak, it can take instructions, it can communicate. It's higher intelligence and these other things that were running around. This makes a lot of sense to me. All they did was a mashup. It just makes sense. It's not as strange as you would consider when you think about the whole experience. It's not that strange. We do it. We breed dogs. We breed all kinds of animals. We breed roses. We breed everything we can get our hands on. But we don't think anything bred for us to come about. Okay, let's go further. Now, when the council spoken of in Psalm 82, this is in the Bible. This is in the Bible. Psalm 82 talks about the sky council. They had a sky council, and the sky council was Anu. Anu was their father, right? He was the father of Enki and Enlil. And he was also the grandfather or great grandfather, depending on what lineage you're looking at, of Inanna, the infamous, the famous Inanna, because she didn't take no tea for the fever. She was running shit. So Enki and Enlil, Inanna, Ninurta, Ninhursag. Ninhursag was the chief medical officer, just like Uhura in Star Trek. Well, Uhura was not the chief medical officer. She was the chief communication officer. She was making communication with all these different things that they were coming up on. Remember, she would have the thing to her ear. This is the so-and-so civilization. How come we made up Star Trek, but we can't believe we made up a story where we were going to all these planets, meeting all these different kinds of beings, but we can't believe it could never happen? No, it could never happen that way. It's not aliens. Oh, aliens, that's crazy. That's conspiracy theory. Neil deGrasse Tyson. It wasn't aliens. Okay. Okay, let's go further. In the beginning, when they first made this agreement, the Sky Council decided that this was not going to be a situation where they could breed themselves. They did not give Enki and Ninhursag, who were doing the tinkering. Enki, super smart. Ninhursag, medical geneticist, one of the best geneticists in the world. Ninhursag is in the Bible as the angel Gabriel. The one who told Abraham's wife, Sarah, don't worry, you're going to have a baby. Don't worry, you're going to have a baby because I'm going to do an artificial insemination right now. Same angel Gabriel that supposedly spoke to Mary. See, these are holdovers from Ninhursag who went around helping all these barren women. How were all these barren women having children in the Bible? Hannah, every really famous person in the Bible had a mother who was either a virgin, she was too old, she couldn't have a baby. John the Baptist's mother, Elizabeth, she couldn't have a baby. Samson, his mother, Hannah, she couldn't have a baby. Not Samson, Samuel's mother. Samuel's mother, Hannah, praying at the temple, she couldn't have a baby. And all of these angels come to her and tell her, oh, you're gonna have a baby. Sarah couldn't have a baby. Who was visiting them? A geneticist that was about to do an insemination. Supposedly, Noah's mother, same thing. That part is not in the Bible. That's in some of the other books. So even Eve said, I have a baby with the help of the Lord. That's what we have in our Bible. I got a man from him, Enki. And then the wording is different for Abel. Cain and Abel had two different fathers, but what do they tell us in church? Oh, Adam was their father. That's a lie. So the Sky Council, right? Enki and Enlil and Anu and Anu's wife, the great mother who still lauded in Africa as Mami Wata. The great mother was lauded all across Africa, still is. That this sky council made up of 12. Why does 12 keep appearing in the Bible? 12 houses of Israel, 12 tribes, 12 apostles. Because it was 12 in the sky council. The original story thought that 12 was very important. So they just continued the 12. The Sky Council was probably talking about about astrology, the constellations. So they were in the Sky Council, and the Sky Council gave them permission to go ahead and craft this being. See what you can do. See if you can make some kind of being that's going to work for us. My son said, "Well, why didn't they just make robots?" I said, "They kind of did." That's us. But I mean, we're not robots yet. Making robots, they would have had to build whole warehouses and manufacturing facilities. It's easier for them just to make beings. That was simple for them. And to breed the beings. Well, they did not give the beings the ability to reproduce. And so they had the beings, and Ninhursag, she was looking at all her birth mothers, and she was like, well, we only have like 14 birth mothers, 7 to birth the boys and 7 to birth the girls. How are we? Come on, buddy. Wow. Billionfold return to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love that. Oh my goodness. Yes, we're hybrids. That is it exactly. We're hybrids. And you can tell from our DNA, something happened. Something happened. So when they saw that they had these birth mothers and it takes 9 months to give birth, how in the world were they going to get this whole worker bee, army that they needed? And it wasn't an army to fight. They needed worker bees. They needed slaves. They said, wow, we don't have anybody to work for us because the EGG did an uprising. The book of Enoch calls them the Watchers. Just read, study, research, dig deep. And I don't believe everything Zechariah Sitchin said. I'm not talking about Zechariah Sitchin. That's one aspect of it. There's so much more than Zechariah Sitchin, even though I honor him and I thank him for his cutting edge work, because we probably wouldn't know a lot that we know had Zechariah Sitchin not done his 30 years of research on this topic. Well, when they came to the conclusion that it would take far too long to get enough beings. If you need 500 beings, how long would it take 14 women to give birth? It'd take years to do this. So Ninhursag and Enki on their own decided, hey, we're going to give them the ability to birth because we'll be here forever doing this. And sure enough, they broke sort of like a directive from the Sky Council, and they went ahead and they made it so that they could reproduce on their own. Many couples, they had many groups, because 8 billion people can't come from 2 people. It's a genetic impossibility. That's science. Oh, but God is above science. Okay, church people, you want to throw out science? I'm not willing to do that. Just not. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. I am so amazed that so many people are listening to this and watching this. This is the highest watched show ever on the YouTube channel. I'm so amazed that all of y'all are as fascinated by this as I am, because I am freaking fascinated by this. Now, are you responsible for the historians now leaving the country? You need to be outer space to align these pyramids back then. You need outer space. You need an astronomical understanding that the people did not have. You need equipment. You need knowledge of geometry. You need algebra. You need physics. But you're telling us they didn't have any of those. They didn't even have the wheel. Yet they are bringing megalithic stones hundreds of kilometers over land, rocks, bogs. Can you understand that these people knew how to float super heavy things with sound? That part is obvious. I don't know why that's not obvious to everyone. That part is obvious. Sound can levitate things. It does it all the time. You put a speaker and you put salt on the table, and the salt bounces with the sound. We can move things with our minds. Why don't we think that they could have moved things with sound? We're moving things with sound right now. They weren't dragging it over with wheels and doing this. It wasn't mechanical, it was energetic because they were far more advanced than us. I'm going to end with this. I did not want to believe in the Anunnaki. I did not. I did not. I thought it was the greatest, one of the greatest, craziest conspiracy theorists on the planet. I put them right up there in the same bucket as flat earthers. I hope I'm not into, offending anyone. If anyone is a flat earther, go for it. Yet, I put it in the category of, nah, didn't happen. Until I began to look with open eyes, deep dive. Oh my God. Scales fell from my eyes. And that's why I wrote the book about it. Get the book, pick it up. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the amazing reviews. So if you do not yet have the book, please, please, please get the book. If you're a member on the Valerie Love YouTube channel, the Christian Witches YouTube channel, you will have a book. And the book is a gift, the ebook. Okay? The paperback and the hardcover are coming out. And I'm putting everything in the book. I'm putting how the Bible was created. I'm putting how the translations of the Bible came about. I'm talking about Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Alexandrinus, Codex Vaticanus, Codex Ephraemi Rescriptus. I'm talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm talking about the Latin Vulgate. I'm talking about the Septuagint. I'm talking about the Masoretic text. I'm talking about all of it in this book. Where did this Bible come from? Shocking. No one ever asked that. Isn't the gods of the Bible? Come on, neutrino waves. You know what I'm talking about. The gods of the Bible. You read that book, I'm telling you, your head will explode. And the people that are reading these books, oh, yes, can you drop the link again? Yes, I can drop the link. I'll take you on screen share for a moment before we wrap up about, did the Anunnaki create us? Here is the carefully, she's referring to Gods of the Bible by Mauro Biglino. This book will have your head explode, as well as The Naked Bible by Mauro Biglino. Of course, the Ethiopian Bible is in here, Dead Sea Scrolls, all of those things. When God Had a Wife tells you all about how they redacted the Bible. I mean, the most dangerous thing you could do is read. That's the most dangerous thing you could do. Slave species of the God. This is gods. This is Michael Tellinger, who's been all throughout Southern Africa and who has taken pictures of these things. They're not making things up and whipping them out of nowhere. We have pictures. We have evidence. We have evidence. Okay? So I'm not a believer. I don't believe the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki is not something to believe. They existed. I don't believe in Anunnaki. No. I'm an evidentiary-based researcher, and extreme curiosity drives me. Extreme curiosity. What happened? And I don't need anything to be right or wrong or anything else. I don't need it to be this way or that way. I don't. You see, scientists have to protect their standing. It can't be the Anunnaki because that would threaten them and their standing and their theories. And then they would have to say they're wrong. Religious people need the Bible to be so true because it would threaten their standing and it would call their entire theology into question and decimate great foundational parts of it that would cause the whole thing to topple pretty quickly. I don't need any of that to be true. I just want to know what happened. And I believe you are much like me. You want to know what happened. So let's end with this. Did the Anunnaki create us? No. They genetically engineered us. We are a hybrid. And I think that's beautiful because we have connection to those beings who were before us on this planet that were already here. And we have star ancestors who were super intelligent. I think it's beautiful. That's a beautiful blend. I love you. ValerieLove.com.